welcome back to the channel. And I've been back on the farm for a few days now, and since our trip the other day to JCB I've been trying to work out some of the things I like about the current telehandler which we use, which is the Manitou. There's one thing which I have noticed, and it's a subconscious aspect you notice. It's the half-step door. Getting in and out of this all day is so easy, and it's one thing I would really miss. And also the JSM joystick as well, that is something I do quite like. So it really depends on what sort of machines you like and what you get used to, but that is one thing which I've noticed is quite handy. It all depends really what you like and what suits your farm best. I would, as I said the other day, I would love to have a look at a 7-metre machine in the future, because when we knock down a lot of our old buildings, it won't matter as much having a small telehandler. We'll be able to have a slightly larger machine. Well, this is some of the last silage, and we'll start making some more very soon. Unfortunately, we haven't quite had enough rain recently, so we might have a little bit of a lower yield than we'd normally have. We did put some fertiliser on it, so hopefully we will have a bit of a first cut. But I think for the next cut, the second cut, it's going to be quite a low yield, unfortunately, because it is turning out to be quite a cold and dry year. Well, as you can see, the grass has really greened up since we were last at this part of the farm, and recently I've been out with the weed wiper and the quad bike trying to get rid and kill a lot of the nettles, and it is actually doing a really good job. And this upcoming week I've bought a new box for the gator, a Logic weed wiper box which can sit in there, and I'll hopefully before long be able to do some weed wiping in the gator as well as the quad bike, because sometimes it is just nicer to be in an enclosed cab in the gator rather than the quad bike, if that makes sense. And it is a really good little tool, the Logic weed wiper. It was really good, worthwhile investment. And having a look on from the weeds which I've been eliminating, this is the silage field, which is hopefully we're planning on making it into hay. Although if it's a wet season, you can never really predict it. Sometimes it gets made into haylage. Although looking at it this year, I put the bird gun at the top of this field, and it has done a really good job because it's kept a lot of the clover in the grass. And if we have a look down here, we have still got quite a lot of clover there which hasn't been eaten by the pigeons. It's one thing where they are particularly after pigeons is this clover, the 3-leaf clover which we've planted in this lay. It's a 2-year lay, and after a little while we will plough this field up again and drill it with another seed mix. This was supposed to be quite a drought resistant variety, although last year we didn't really get much of a second cut, and that's just the trouble at the moment with these cold and dry summers we've been having. So we need some rain, or we need to get some irrigation here for a second cut. I doubt we get a third cut in this part of the world. For anyone from the West Country, I'm sure you're used to probably 3 or 4 cuts, but here in Norfolk on this lighter farm, we are lucky to even get a second cut. So every year is different, but we are noticing that the summers have become a lot drier. Alright, so I've just driven up to the top of the farm, and I'm going to show you, this is the spring barley and how it's coming along this year. It's hopefully going to be worth about £300 a tonne, a little bit over that, maybe £320 a tonne, if the prices hold. And one thing I have noticed this year is that looking at the winter barley, which was sown at the late end of last year on other farms, has started to bolt because it's been so dry, and the stress is causing it to bolt, and of course that's going to result in lower yields. I think this year has been a really good year for spring barley because it's a low cost crop to grow in comparison with winter barley. You'll still get a relatively good yield off it if you know what you're doing, and the price is holding at about £320. And then also the added advantage of spring barley is you can then grow a cover crop afterwards. You can grow some turnips to feed some animals, you can grow some wildflower mixes, whatever takes your fancy really. It gives you options. So I think this year really has been the year of spring crops, because they haven't bolted yet. It will take that little bit longer to get to the end, to grow, to be harvested. And that is of course a difficulty with the weather being so unpredictable and dry at the moment. What we might do is irrigate the spring barley towards the end of the growth cycle, just to boost it, to give it that edge, and to hopefully improve the quality of it so that we can then sell it as malting barley, because malting barley really is where the premium is, although feed barley is still quite a good price at the moment. So it's just making sure that the crop's coming along nicely, it's not too badly damaged in parts of the field. We're keeping on top of the pests, keeping on top of the weeds. We generally don't have too much of a problem with weeds. Pests aren't too bad in this, and the diseases we're on top of as well. So the spring barley could be one of our best years if we get the weather to match it and if we possibly irrigate it. And then next door to the spring barley field, we've planted the sugar beet this year, which is just, as you can see, it started to come out of the ground and it's heading on its way to get some leaves. It won't be long before the bulbs start shooting out of the ground. And something which I always find amazing with the sugar beet is how small the seed is. It's absolutely tiny, the seed. And that seed at the end of the day grows into a huge sugar beet plant, and then when you look at the heap at the end of the year when it's loaded with the wheel loader into the lorries to then go to the sugar beet factory at Cantley, I think it's just absolutely amazing. We're hopefully going to get just over £30 a tonne, which if it yields well, it will hopefully bring a good income for the farm this year. Again, just like the spring barley though, it is all dependent on the weather. We have had many years where the sugar beet suffers from drought and it starts to wilt, so really, you know, the whole farm really is dependent on rain in the summertime. Because it's light and free draining, this farm, it has a poor ability at retaining water. It cannot hold water, this farm, unlike a medium or heavy loam farm with a higher level of clay content in the soil. So we need water consistently in the summer months. So another solution would be to build a clay lined reservoir, which would then capture the water over the winter months when we get enough rainfall, and then use that later on in the summer months for the following year. That's one possibility, and it's turning out to be a key solution for light land farmers such as ourselves here in rural Norfolk. As you'll see just down below, I've just put this silver bowl in this part of the field, and it's for the skylarks, which have actually started to eat part of the leaves off. They're doing that not to eat the leaf, but they're actually trying to get the moisture out of the leaves. So I put these bowls in the field, fill them up with a little bit of water, and they'll drink the water out of the bowls rather than eating the leaves on the sugar beet. I know it sounds crazy, however it is of tremendous benefit to the sugar beet because it's going to mean that the birds will be drinking water out of my bowls rather than eating the plant. So it's all about protecting the crop at the end of the day and hopefully getting some good yields so that we can sell this off for sugar, for British sugar, and it will end up hopefully in your cereal bowl or in your cup of tea. Just on the right, we've got our wood here, which we use every year to chip into wood chip to heat the biomass boiler, which heats all of the farm and heats people's houses over the winter months. One thing we need to do every year is chip it, and because of the rising costs, rising prices of things, it's becoming more and more expensive to chip up wood. So we've been looking recently at a small wood chipper to chip our own wood and hopefully save a little bit of money every year on the contracting costs. We looked at a Heiser Hack HM 6-300. It says on the website ideal for biomass boiler owners. So it's one machine we can use on the tractor on the John Deere, and we can load it by hand to begin with, and then maybe look at loading it with a machine later on. And one thing I've brought with me today is this tape measure, because each wood chipper has a different infeed size. So this is a 30cm infeed. We'll be able to chip a log like that one, for example. We can chip these smaller logs with this wood chipper, all of these logs along here. And here we go, here's a slightly bigger log, and this might cause some problems because it would be too big for the wood chipper. So I would have to find a way to split these large logs and then get those through the chipper, and then also throughout the year have a look at some sort of way to harvest smaller logs such as this 15cm log here, which will go through the chipper fine, and reduce those bigger ones, unless we could split some of those larger logs with something like a mini digger and a cone splitter, for example. So that's the idea anyway, and we'll load it by hand to begin with, and it's just something we're looking at as an option, and we are quite excited about it. Once the machine has been bought, we'll be able to use it all year round to chip all of the wood we get on the farm and to heat everyone's houses, which would be absolutely fantastic. It's looking ahead to be a good year for the crops and also for the livestock as well. I'll show you the cattle and sheep which are currently down at the Norfolk Broads National Park later on next week, and also something else which is changing with Olly's farm is the video upload schedule. So everybody's been asking me about when the videos go out, how do they come out, and what's your schedule. So for now we'll be uploading on a Sunday at 8 AM, a Tuesday at 2 PM, and a Friday at 2 PM as well. So Tuesday, Friday and Sunday will be the video days. We'll keep doing that and then update you all when things change. Also later on this year we'll be going to the Royal Norfolk Show, and there's a bit of a twist this year because something else is happening when we're at the Norfolk Show, so I'll keep you posted on that as well. And then also I've recently been looking at finding a horse which I can ride to go around the gallops for 100,000 subscribers, which is what I said I'd do. So that will be happening very soon. You can go and follow the Olly's Farm Instagram page, which is ollies.farm, in the Instagram search bar, and you can keep up to date with what I'm up to every day on the farm on there. Do have a fantastic day whatever you're up to, and I will catch you on the next one. Click here to subscribe to the channel and click here to watch another Olly's Farm video.